Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I want to talk to you guys about how to become a master of persuasion, whether this is for your entrepreneurship ventures, whether you're a salesperson, or you just want to simply start persuading people your ideas, your goals, and your ambitions. Persuasion is unique. And what's interesting is the fundamentals are generally the same, but the way you adapt based on your audience and the person that you're doing business with or communicating with is essential. So these 3 easy tips will more than potentially double your closing percentage and completely change your business forever as they did mine. Number 1 is breaking preoccupation. This is something that just unbelievably scaled my personal closing percentage early on when I was in sales and I was starting my company from scratch, but also building out and increasing my sales team's actual closing percentage is breaking preoccupation. The best way to break preoccupation and just a fundamental skill of sales and influence is the person who wants it the least always controls the deal. So a key is when you're entering the room, do not be tied to getting a certain outcome. Almost convince yourself that it really doesn't matter and you're closing and signing up so many people that you're no longer worried about just signing up anybody and you're instead trying to see if they're the right fit. Truly tell yourself so many times that you believe it. Now, the key here is do the opposite of what any single sales rep would do. I mean, literally be the opposite. I was just talking to a couple different entrepreneurs, one that's in the remodeling space, and then another that is in the staffing. She runs a staffing agency and she's in the medical field. And I tell her, I was like, wear your scrubs. It immediately breaks their preoccupation. For the guy that runs the remodeling business, I was like, dress up like you're about to fix the house. It breaks the preoccupation. So, for example, one thing that I would do is many times for my original first company is when I was running appointments, I wouldn't dress up like how I'm dressed now. I would wear boots, I'd wear jeans, I'd wear maybe a polo. I would look like, I'd fit into who I was talking to because it was a B2C business. And so I would try to be as relaxed as possible. And so usually what I would do is I'd show up to their house and I'd go, hey, are you guys from College Station? First question I asked, because I know what I look like. I look like this guy that's from the city. I just know how I'm perceived. So I want to immediately break that preoccupation. I go, hey, are y'all from College Station? And they'd go, yeah, we're from here. Or they'd go, oh, we've been out here for the last 10 years. Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm originally from Houston, but my brother went to Texas A&M, so did my parents. And actually my grandparents live in Brenham about an hour away. And they're like, oh, really? So the first thing that I was trying to do is not I'm suddenly like you guys, but simply I'm more like you than you thought. So how can you connect with somebody in some common ground? Even if that means they love the Steelers and you love the Cowboys. You don't act like you suddenly love the Steelers. You actually talk bad about the Steelers and you say you love the Cowboys. But it shows that you're authentic and you're not just there to kiss their ass. It's like one rule that I told my sales reps for specifically outside sales is a mistake that reps would make, whether they're going to the house, even the business, is they get there and they just start complimenting them or complimenting their house. So they're like, oh, I love your yard. Oh, I love this. I love that. Think about it. If you're going to your best friend's house, and I'm not talking about for the first time, I'm talking you've been there 100 times, you may talk mess about his house. You're like, man, are you going to ever clean up? You're going to do completely opposite things because you have a relationship with him. So do things the complete opposite of a sales rep. So the way I would kind of do this, and this is how I doubled my closing percentage, is I would just show up and I'm like, what's up, guys? So I'd find out where they're from. I'd sit down and I'd be so relaxed. I mean, almost as if, it's not that I didn't care, but I was just hanging out. And I would simply say things like, what brings me out here? What got you guys interested in this whole solar thing? Well, what got you guys interested in looking into tech? And if you notice my tonality, it's very confused. You're like, wait, why do y'all want to switch CRMs if you've had Salesforce for the last 2 years? Instead of, so I see you guys are looking into different tech stacks and you guys want to get a different CRM. And I see that you guys have had, you see how that sounds? It just immediately makes you want to repel. So I'm like, why do you guys want to switch what you're doing right now? I've done it myself. It's a lot of work. And they go, well, I don't know if we want to. but we've just had a lot of issues. It is very costly, and we've just scaled quite a bit. And we actually know XYZ company that worked with you guys, and they actually said really good things. What the average salesperson or person that is trying to persuade them, when someone says something in regards to like that, they say something good that you can run with, that would be good for you, that says like, hey, I'm interested. They freak out and they go, oh, great. That's what we hear. Lots of companies in that sector are doing the same thing. And the reason is because we actually have one of the fastest growing companies, blah, 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 blah. They just start selling and selling and selling. They're like a squirrel. They're like, oh, an acorn. And they just start running. Instead, do nothing. Do nothing. I have this rule that's stuck with a lot of my sales reps and people I've worked with, where I literally say, don't be weird. Don't say anything weird. Don't mess up. Like, don't say anything weird. And so when they say this, yeah, we saw this company, XYZ company, and they use you guys, and they really liked it. They said it was a little bit cheaper, but they just said it was better for their sales reps. Instead of me selling, I'll just go, really? Like, what specifically was better for their sales reps? Well, this and this and this and this. And you said the cost was cheaper. What were you saying was like, what did they say was like the main difference as far as the investment on their end? So dig deeper. And then I go, and then as far as, I know you mentioned that company, you said it was better for their sales reps. What is your sales reps' current experience with the current CRM? What are you guys having some issues on? What do you guys wish was different? How would you approach it differently? If you guys could have, drop your costs, but make things run efficient, is that something that you guys think would probably be a better fit? So I'm almost talking to them like I'm the expert. I'm a doctor, like I'm a lawyer. I'm almost interviewing them. And the key here is wait as long as possible to start selling the product, because what happens is now you're going to get the true version of themselves. I always tell this when people, if they're dating someone for the first time, it's like, if you tell them, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for this, I hate when people do this, I hate when people do that. Now, if they are those things, they're going to not tell you because they don't want you to not like them. But if you just go, oh, I'm just going with the flow. I just love meeting new people. And if it's a right fit, it's a right fit. And then they say all these crazy things that they do because they're not afraid to be judged. Now you're like, okay, this is the wrong person. It's the same thing in sales. You have to be as nonchalant, as relaxed as possible. Your body language is another thing. If you're sitting at a table, I would have my arm up. I'd be sitting back, like relaxed like this. I'd be calm. Literally do the opposite of any single person that's trying to persuade them. They'll trust you, they'll respect you, and most importantly, you'll get the most natural version. Another thing that you'll see early on as far as breaking preoccupation is if they've met with a lot of people, they had a bad experience, or they're just a very defensive person. And these are typically people who are very easily sold. They're the non-solicitation people, when they put that on their doors in businesses. That is a sign that basically means, hey, I'm easily sold, so don't try to sell me anything. When people are like this, which is a good portion of people, especially now because of how bad sales reps have been over the last couple of decades, they will say things like, hey, I'm just letting you know, Grant, we're not doing anything until the first quarter of next year. So don't try to sell us anything. Or, hey, I'm just letting you know, we're not getting this till this and this and this. We're going to get 3 quotes. I'm just letting you know, we're talking to this company as well. These, for a lack of a better word, are shit tests. They're basically doing this not only to test you, but to protect themselves and give them an out. Don't take it personally. The worst thing that you can do here is start selling or convince them why they should do something different. Literally, the best thing you can do here is simply go, cool. Oh, actually, that actually might work out great because, we were actually looking, first quarter next year actually seems like that might be a good fit. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I want to kind of know more about y'all's business to see if this is even a good fit. Or, hey, I'm just letting you know, we're not looking to do this. You can say, that actually might work out because I don't know if it's the right fit. I want to know more about what you guys are looking for to see if we can even help you. Did you hear my tonality there? I wasn't trying to convince them because I literally don't know if I can help them. Qualifying the customer is so important, but I'm not doing it in an arrogant way. I'm doing it in a way that's very relaxed. It's the same thing for the business owners that are listening to this. When I'm interviewing somebody, I want them to sell me on why they should work with us. And So I want to be at early on just so relaxed and nonchalant so I get the most natural version of themselves. But then I'm just going to dive deep and let them talk. So tell me about something that you've worked on, the most challenging project or deal that you've done over the last year. Tell me all about it and just let them talk and then pick at it. Well, what did they do when you did that? What were some mistakes that you made along the way? Were there any competitors? How would you sell it? So I'm doing things differently because I want to first get the most natural version, and then I want to dive deep so I have the information needed to actually be able to persuade them. And the reason why people cannot get that information, whether it's you're hiring someone, whether it's you're trying to solve a problem in your business, is because people don't feel comfortable telling you the information you need to not only close them, but to help them. Okay. Number 2 is pre-frame the outcome that you want, whether it's you hiring somebody, whether it's you influence and persuading an audience, whether it is you're trying to sell a deal to a company or an individual. Most of the time, people don't do the things that we want them to do, not because they weren't down to, not because they weren't sold, not because they didn't like you, but because they didn't know that that was the outcome or the target of the conversation or the relationship. Expectations are everything. And those difficult conversations, which I don't even think has to be difficult, the earlier you have them, the less difficult they are, will completely change your business. And so one thing that we implemented that as a company increased our or closing percentage from the low 20s to as high as the low 30s as far as closing percentage, which, and you look at, is about a 33% increase in more deals closed, is once we broke preoccupation, established credibility, we would be as nonchalant and relaxed as possible. And at this point, the consumer, the crowd, the company, they just like us. At the worst, they go, this person's cool. I like this person. This Sarah girl, she's cool. Oh, this Jake guy, I like him. This company, you can tell they're legit. They're at this very relaxed, natural state. At that point, you simply want to go, hey, so like I was saying earlier, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we still want to see if there's some good synergy and if this is even going to work. But in a hypothetical setting, if on the CRM side, if we can drop your costs, we can make it more efficient for your sales team and also streamline it to where it's something that you guys could implement much quicker than maybe your last experience. Is that something that you think would probably be a better fit for the organization? You see how I did this? I got them to agree that if these things happen, we're going to move forward. But I didn't say, you're going to move forward today. There will be a time that I might need to say that. But right here, I want to soft close them because I want them to start thinking it's like, hey, we're here not to be a Google search engine and waste each other's time. We're here to reach this common outcome. And I want to be very upfront that this is our goal. And if it isn't, I want to relook at why we're even having this conversation. But you notice my tonality there was so relaxed. I was upfront, but you can at least respect my transparency. And I was still emotionally intelligent about not jumping the gun because we just don't know yet. And when I personally implemented this, it shocked my sales numbers. Everything went through the roof. And I always would have a good test of where the consumer, the business, whatever the deal was, where they were at in the relationship and in the situation. Okay, last, obviously you've pitched them, you've done all the right things. I would recommend also as far as, pre-framing the outcome, doing trial closes. If we could get this, is this something you guys would like? If it was under this, would you guys, think you'd move forward with that? Is this something that you think would be better than what you have now? Trial closes throughout it. And then finally, to become a better closer, you actually just simply have to be better at pitching the product and service and doing the setup on these first 2 sections like I'm discussing. That's where you have to improve as a CEO, as a manager, as a sales rep, as a speaker, as someone that has a podcast, whatever it is. Breaking those preoccupations and establishing the credibility does 99% of the work. What I tell people on the closing portion, it's about not messing up. It's about not saying something dumb. It's not shooting yourself in the foot. And the closing portion is simply facilitating the transaction. It's getting out of your way and assuming the sell. So, one thing that we did on the solar side is I'd go, perfect. So 2 biggest things we're looking at when we're setting someone up for solar is 1, that they get the right financing in place that would have 0 down and a couple different other things And I'm not going to get in the weeds of that because few of you guys are in solar. Most of you guys are in other sectors. And then the second is this and this and this. And as long as we have those two things, we'll go ahead and get you guys approved. We'll get you set up today. Real quick, what's your zip code? Okay, perfect. What's your address? Okay, cool. Could you spell your last name for me? So I don't even give them the option to say yes or no. I'm immediately transitioning into getting them approved for financing. And I specifically, not only with my own organization, I worked with a couple of different CEOs that are in the roofing space, window space, staffing, solar, all different areas, even finance. And they implemented this process and they didn't even change anything else about their sales process, and their deals went up immediately. They're like, Grant, they just did it. And I was like, I know. That's what you're supposed to do. Because think about it. You've already agreed that if it makes sense and you do these specific things and, it aligns with, what they need and what makes sense, with an agreement. If that has been established, then they already agreed to saying yes. Facilitate the transaction. Don't say anything weird. Get out of the way and execute. Stop selling. Stop convincing. Don't use things like another really great thing. Oh, another benefit. Oh, another thing that will be nice. No. Okay, perfect. You're going to do this. The email is going to be coming here. Go ahead and let me know when you pull it up. Okay, perfect. The first paragraph means this. Initial here, initial here, initial. You're taking control. If they didn't need you, you wouldn't be there. They have you there for a reason because you're the expert. They need your product and service, and they need your expertise. And so it's important to facilitate the damn transaction. Get out of your way and close it. And you do this by assuming the sale. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, you guys can find me on all my social media outlets. And if you're an entrepreneur, you want to scale your business or a salesperson, click the link below, book a free clarity call, me and my team, and we'll help you scale your business. Hope to see you guys soon. Thanks, guys.